Professional Serving Community, talkradio.nyc.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the A Train to Sedona. I'm Linda Marsanico. The A Train to Sedona is also the name of a memoir I wrote about my journey to love and compassion. I share my failings, my successes, in the hope that my journey will inspire yours. You can get a signed copy on my website at lindamarsanico.com by the book page. You can get an unsigned copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and bookstores. I have a free gift for you. I call it the cheat sheet for high vibration living. 7 exercises designed to help you keep your energy high in vibration and in the present moment. There are 7 exercises, and the one I'm sharing today has to do with affirmation and mantra. I love the I am, so we can say something like, I am calm, I am competent, I am working on this, I am loved. When we say I am, we get an electromagnetic charge to our being. You can download a free copy on my website at lindamarsanico.com. I have 2 disclaimers. One, that this broadcast does not establish a professional relationship. And 2, that the opinions expressed on this broadcast do not necessarily represent Talk Radio New York City. Today, I'm solo. And I want to say that my guest is my memoir, The A Train to Sedona. And then later in the show, my blog posts from 2013. I have a lot to share with you. I wrote this book when I was in Sedona. I had a home there for 13 years, and I would go 2 times, 3 times, sometimes 4 times a year. And I wrote in the energy of those red rocks and the altitude of 4,000 feet up from sea level, a most wonderful, inspiring experience. So I'm going to start reading. My journey on the A train began on the local track, where it meandered for years. It took time for me to figure out what I needed and who could help. There was also a lot of work to do. So I want to help you disembark from the local train to hop on the Express A. Let's go. So I'm going to now read some promotional material for the A Train memoir. Embark on the most important journey of your life. The A Train to Sedona takes you along on my search for awareness and connection to God and consciousness. You are with me as I work to develop an intuitive, heartfelt language. As I let go of ideas that don't serve me, as I move into multidimensional thinking and the channeling of magic. Travel with me firsthand as I recount my journey toward compassion, forgiveness, and self-love. And I will guide you as we go. You will not only hear my story. The A Train to Sedona is also a map for you to follow as you move toward your own practice of genuine self-love that reflects outward into the world. Move with me toward robust health by harnessing the power of love to heal. Join me as I embrace stillness, quiet, spiritual energy, and prayer to balance my mind, body, and spirit. Accompany me as I choose love over fear, transforming negativity into the adventure of the spiritual path. Embrace the thrilling discovery that you can learn by looking inward for your connection to your highest wisdom. You can remember how powerful you are. Learn to co-create your constructive desires. Harness your energy and create the life you choose. Partner with God. What's more powerful than that? Essentially, choose to live in love. Love is awesome. Love opens doors. I am passionate about my long and winding journey as life has unfolded. My hope is that my passage will inspire and enable yours. I'm going to chapter 1. Which I entitle, Turning on the Light, Looking for Your Inner Self. One sunny, quiet afternoon in Brooklyn, I was sitting on the wood floor of my living room, reading a yoga book my sister had recommended to me. I closed my eyes. In an instant, I was seized with an overpowering awareness. For the first time, I truly knew that I was part of universe, and that universe was part of me, that I was part of all things, and that all things were part of me. There was an expansion from me to all that is. Why did this realization come over me then and there? It seemed to strike from out of the blue, but did it really? As I look back upon that moment, I understand that because I had undertaken a journey to connect to the spiritual side of my life, I was finally ready for a new way of thinking and being, though I didn't realize it then. I had reached into my original home to become a changed woman, a being who is supported by a consciousness so vast that it's beyond my thinking and imagination. In seconds, I acknowledged my spiritual nature and became even more curious about the mysteries beyond this dimension, the third dimension, the linear world we all know in our everyday existence. The galaxies were apparent and present, for there are no boundaries or limitations in the stillness that I glimpsed. In a flash, I contemplated my existence. Yes, we are one. There is no separation. Rather, I sensed the merging nature of existence and my essential status. You and I and everyone are essential. This is an amazing body, this alliance of all of us with Creator. We are members of an all-inclusive, universal camaraderie. I felt like Dorothy in the movie version of The Wizard of Oz. She made a transition from her world of black and white into Technicolor. Her understanding shifted from gray to become complex, interesting, multidimensional, and bright. Hers was a transformational moment. You might say that, like Dorothy, I was in the darkness, unaware of the light, until I took the opportunity to understand and embrace my infinite connection to Creator, to consciousness, that I am in Creator and Creator is in me. What glorious knowledge is this? Not only am I not alone, but Creator and I are one. We're each part of everyone, of everything. We are the universe. Isn't this awesome? I came in from the darkness and now I am in the warmth of the light. Yes, I turned on the light, the most glorious light imaginable. It is superbly warm in this glow. Do you get the picture? Imagine, I thought, I am the universe and the universe is around, in, through, and interwoven within me. Now, these thoughts were not entirely new to me. Deeply embedded in my unconscious, I had always held this glorious knowledge. I often said that from our dreams, we create goals to form a most wonderful path. Vaguely, I knew this before, although that knowledge of connection and union was tucked away until I was ready to explore my spirituality. But this overwhelming moment of illumination was the beginning of my conscious spiritual journey. I was ready to blossom. A most beautiful and essential seed was ready to flower in the light of Creator. Once realized, there was no turning back, and I am in the light now. Out of the darkness and into the light I came. Imagine in an instant, now I know that I am a powerful being connected to the power of Creator. The next section is understanding your true power and responsibility. Meditation is an amazing activity which takes us out of our logical brain, allowing us to explore the mind's adaptable capacity. This allows us to explore love and compassion as we reach for our true nature, which is divine. This steady practice develops what I call the muscle, the discipline of shifting into Technicolor. In recent years, I have learned to place myself at the center of an awakening discipline. You too can take responsibility for yourself in the journey toward transformation, which is internal rather than external. Your heart is the center of this evolution of your internal relationship as it has access to your higher self, your highest wisdom. Developing love of self will be the transformational aspect of your journey. Love is the sister to compassion, and this energy flows from you to others and from others to you. Only when you truly love yourself are you able to experience and demonstrate true compassion. When you love yourself, you affect yourself as well as the connected consciousness through the flow of compassion in both directions. This is your greatest spiritual challenge because your nature is love. We have forgotten this, and the task of your journey is to find that love within your inner self, your most important relationship. So this is a journey to find your true nature, which is part of Creator. And only you can understand your true nature in full power, and only you can decide to become the best possible version of yourself. Of course, the best possible version of yourself is a quote from Neil Donald Walsh. No one else can do this for you. In the absence of full responsibility, you give up your power to others, resulting in self-doubt, which throws you off balance. Buddha gently urges, don't attempt, just do. And we thought Nike coined that phrase. Only recently, through the work I've done to reach clarity in my heart, do I understand the difference in the energy I create when I attempt rather than do. When you attempt, you move forward cautiously with self-doubt. When you do, you harness energy, powerfully active, positive energy, like a laser. The focused, loving mind is like a laser. And this reminds me of Merlin's description of the magical wand, where he urges us to use that wand skillfully to create our loving desires. And we use this wand by intending to create our constructive desires. Now we're getting ready for a break. And when we come back, I want to share two situations, one where I was compassionate and one where I failed to be compassionate. We'll take a break now.
you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the A Train to Sedona broadcast, where I'm celebrating the A Train to Sedona memoir. So I'm reading from chapter 1 in a section called Choosing Love Over Fear, an Example. We depend upon each other daily. We can accomplish this with grace and ease, which feels so much better than strife and conflict. Truly, compassion is an everyday experience. I want to tell you a story where I failed to be compassionate. Some years ago, I lived in a condo with 3 floors, 3 families. Above me was a family with a new baby. One day, I found their stroller parked by my door. I asked them to place the stroller in the outer vestibule or 6 steps up in the building on a landing, out of the range of my doorway. They refused. For months, we went back and forth, exchanging conflictual words. I spoke with the father and the mother, who didn't wish to discuss this. Of course, she was busy being a new parent. The tension in the building was thick, and the energy was heavy, with no resolution in sight. This went on for a while, and I was very unhappy, and I'm sure they were unhappy too. When I think back on it, I could have volunteered to fold and move the stroller myself, but in my rigidity, regrettably, I didn't offer. I think an angel must have whispered in my ear to be compassionate. I found myself reciting a mantra: I am a bodhisattva. And a bodhisattva is someone who's on the path to enlightenment, awakening. So here I am working to create this sensibility. When I left my apartment, I would see the carriage and I would say, I am a bodhisattva. When I came into the building from my office, I would say, I am a bodhisattva. I am a bodhisattva. I am a bodhisattva, again and again and again. I held love rather than anger around this impasse. One day I came home and the stroller was gone. It had been moved, and the baby buggy was never again placed in front of my doorway. My interpretation is the power of love is unmistakable, and my love vibration was communicated to Mary. Eventually, we each forgave the other and became friends until she moved. Now, I'd like to read about 2 other situations where I, at one point, was compassionate, and then at another point, lacked compassion completely. So driving has been a source of adventure and challenge over the years. At this time, I rented a garage space that serviced 12 vehicles. Because of a narrow entry, I had to back into the space. One summer night after 10 p.m., a large private garbage truck followed me as I turned the corner onto my street. So I'll read from the edited version of the blog post that I wrote on June 24, 2019. I stopped on the left as I planned and opened the garage door. The garbage truck stopped too, right behind me. Only as I backed up, the driver wouldn't budge to allow me the space I needed. I tried once more with the same result. On some level, I was afraid because of the late hour and because the driver could not be seen. Intimidated as I was, it was necessary for me to get out of my car on the dark, quiet street. I needed to ask for the driver's help. I reached past fear into my heart, smiled, and motioned to him. Through my speaking and gesturing, he understood what I needed to do, and he backed up, giving me the required space. I felt such a relief. As he drove off, we waved goodbye like friends who had just completed a task. I felt grateful for his cooperation, which reminded me that we have the ability to make space for the other, negotiating the many situations we encounter. We can make life easier, stretching to communicate and accommodate. As the driver and I demonstrated that evening, he became more flexible and I more compassionate, a most pragmatic transition. My next example at the same garage had the opposite effect. Before getting to the garage, I had attended a dinner party where one guest aggressively, to win a point, maintained a position that denied a personal stance of mine. I gently gave this person examples of ways in which I've balanced my values in a nuanced way, yet this person was unrelenting and wouldn't acknowledge these subtleties. I hadn't realized how blocked I felt about this disregard for my sensibility until I got to the same garage at around the same time of night, where a car was parked directly in front of the entrance. I pulled up alongside of his car. The driver, a middle-aged man, was slow to advance once I gestured that I needed him to move. He pulled up, and I didn't think he left me enough room to back up. I flicked my low beam lights repeatedly in the effort to have him pull up further. My anger was palpable. He didn't budge or say anything as I continued to flick my lights in anger. He put on his hazards. I felt the anger with each depress of my light lever. I finally caught myself, took a breath, reevaluated the distance I needed to back into my garage, and successfully drove into my stall. I had felt blocked by this dinner guest, as well as the driver. This burst of negativity surprised me and seemed to come out of nowhere. There it had been, lurking in my unconscious. Each cell in my body was charged with anger, and my energy radiated negativity. Once I understood my feelings, I was able to breathe and calm myself. I acted differently in these two similar situations. I was calm and resilient in my response to the driver in the private garbage truck. Not so in the interaction with the man whose car blocked my entrance. Why? In this instance, this situation, lurking in my unconscious, was the anger I hadn't consciously recognized. And this unknowingness sabotaged my ability to be compassionate with this driver. This example demonstrates the power of the unconscious mind to motivate our behavior and the importance of bringing the unconscious mind into conscious thinking. I failed to be compassionate in this situation, but there was a gift. And this was the understanding of the power of the unconscious. Now, I'm going to read from another section. I'll start, and we will have a break in about 4 or 5 minutes, but let me continue. It's called Interacting with Others. Action, love, and compassion need to be demonstrated. This is the road. Love is that simple and that complex. After all, there is but one race under God, and that is the human race. Interacting is part of your connectedness. Once you realize we are all connected in a oneness, which is part of Creator, you are motivated to work for the common good. You take on this responsibility because the common good benefits each of us. We remember that the purpose of these relationships is to grow spiritually, to raise our vibration and the vibration of the energy on earth. Working together is paradoxically a singular and a group experience. It is singular because our path is all about ourselves. And yet we are a group because we are all connected, and our actions affect the totality. Let me share 2 examples. If we have time, I'll share one now, of interactions from a trip to Sedona. Before I left for Sedona, I prayed, forming an intention to receive all the healing I needed while there for 9 days. I didn't know any details about the situation. I surrendered this to Creator. On New Year's Eve, my friend Rochelle and I attended a vegetarian dinner and dance program given by a local group. I agreed. A woman with long blonde hair sat to my right, but we didn't speak. She focused on a family sitting across from her while I talked with the person on my left, Rochelle. Several days later, after seeing a film, Rochelle and I discussed where to have coffee. Even though I preferred another cafe, I agreed to the Chocolate Tree. Rochelle noticed the same blonde woman from New Year's Eve sitting behind me. I turned and we spoke. The woman's name was Laura, and we talked about the movie we had just seen. A few minutes later, Laura moved her seat closer and made eye contact. She said, "There's something we need to talk about." At that moment, I thought she was interested in renting my house, and I invited her to come to our table, learning that she channels Kuan Yin, the Buddhist mother of mercy and compassion, who advised her to sit next to me at the dinner. Laura and I exchanged contact information. Later, I scheduled an amazing 2-hour session during which she channeled Kuan Yin. The healing raised my vibration to an amazing place, and I was filled with gratitude. Laura and I interacted so that my prayer for healing could be answered. Creator decided Kuan Yin would provide it, and we have been close ever since. I need to stop here because we are ready for a break. And when we come back, I'm going to change it up a bit and read from my blog posts. So stay tuned, listeners.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
Ready to serve up success with a splash? Hi, I'm Bruce Kramer, a.k.a. the Corporate Cockroach.
I'm the Renaissance woman, Angie Snowball.
And I'm your strategy doctor, Dr. Navtej Desange, inviting you to serving up success with a splash.
Join us as we shake things up with real talk and real strategies centered around awareness, action, and accountability.
And yes, there really is a cocktail involved. Please Join us and sip your way to success.
Serving up success with a splash, where wisdom meets happy hours. Cheers!
Cheers.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the A Train to Sedona broadcast. I'm Linda Marsanico, celebrating the A Train to Sedona memoir and now my blog posts. I began to develop the website in 2013, just a little bit earlier than that, when I was getting my book ready to be published. And I knew I wanted the book, the website, to be focused on love and compassion. The book is certainly focused on love and compassion. But for the website, I didn't know from what perspective I would take it. It took me about 6 months, and I realized it was going to be, of course, a spiritual website about love and compassion, because love and compassion bring in a very beautiful energy. My first blog that I'm going to share with you is from March 8, 2013. The title is 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes whiz by quickly. In this short bit of time, I can text, check phone messages, read an article in the New York Times, or I can choose to meditate, to find myself on the road to different dimensions and to build what I call the muscle of meditating. Once developed, this muscle allows me to get into the zone of mystical experience more quickly and into my higher dimensional bodies more deeply. At the beginning of developing a practice, the 3 to 5 minutes can be restorative, like a power nap or an oasis in a desert. The prize is getting into the zone, beyond thinking, being in the moment, and visiting my spiritual self. This 3 to 5 minute segment emerged with my clients as a kind of let's try it out, sampling a beneficial, free, and relaxing activity we can take anywhere. Meditation is more manageable in this short segment, while it can seem overwhelming in long periods. Let's call this short segment a power meditation. I develop muscle as I sit on the train, in a waiting room, at my desk. As a beginning, all it takes is 3 to 5 minutes. Since then, I've developed meditation of about 15, 20 minutes each day. Not every day, but certainly prayer and meditation happen at least every day. My next blog post is August 19, 2013. The title is The Infinite Web of Consciousness. I'm quoting from Sixto Rodriguez from his Climb Upon My Music record from the Coming From Reality album, 1971, and then done again in 2009. He says, "Climb upon my music and my words will set you free. Jump off with me." If ever there was an invitation to play, this is a fine example, to use imagination, to soar beyond the third dimension into the clouds of fantasy. I'm reminded of childhood, friends coming to my front door to ask if I would like to play, on my front stoop, on bicycles, or in my room. It was an invitation to leave the world of adults, to enter the realm of children. The mind of a child is that of a genius, unencumbered by rules, obstacles of movement, or possibility. Play involves beauty, fantasy, creativity, and energy flow. Adults often forget how to laugh, which uses fewer facial muscles than does frowning. And adults forget how to play. Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, once she enters her dream, moves into the world of Technicolor and dances forward on the yellow brick road. So do Michael Jackson and Diana Ross in The Wiz. Gene Kelly tap dances in the rain and Singing in the Rain. Julie Andrews sings The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music. Steven Tyler, from his Dream On record on the debut album Aerosmith in 1973, sings Dream on, dream on, dream until your dreams come true. Creative play, which utilizes other abilities, allows us to tap into our higher mind. We explore more of ourselves when we are willing to take what I would call a leap of faith into the unknown of our being, our potential, our birthright, because we are, each of us, a cell in the fabric of our Creator. This is quite a heritage, don't you think? To explore this spiritual, metaphysical, evolutionary line brings us to a Technicolor, which is physical, emotional, mental, as well as multidimensional, electromagnetic, outright magical. As I sit here right now, as Kuan Yin loves to utter, or in the now, as Eckhart Tolle professes, these musings are not just my imagination. That's from the Temptations' Sky's the Limit album from Motown in 1971, but within the scope of my imagination, which Einstein says encircles the world. I say that the imagination spills out into and travels the galaxies. As we co-create, we access the infinite web of consciousness, jumping off with our Creator into the vastness of possibility. I love the playfulness of this blog post. Now I'm jumping around in the months in 2013, and this one is spring, but any other name is still spring. Now remember, I'm writing this on March 25 in 2013. Bear with me. I have always liked spring. It arrives after the coldness of winter, bringing longer days where we bask in the light. 2 weekends ago, we were asked to spring forward in time to put our clocks 1 hour ahead. I felt tired with this shift, but it is in the service of having brighter days, which I prefer. Last Wednesday was the first official day of spring. The weather will soon catch up, and we will be launched into temperate days with chirping birds and budding flowers and trees. The flora and fauna come alive. The air will brush our skin gently while the sun nourishes us. Let's look at this metaphor. As the days expand in my emotional, spiritual spring, what will I plant? What do I want in my garden? With love as a context, I want to develop relationships and be authentic in my interactions, to reach out in social arenas. Now, I'd like to share an example of my challenge to plant compassion. Now, at this time in 2013, my favorite office was on 41st Street, just below 6th Avenue. It was a townhouse where an Italian family lived, and they imported tiles from Italy. So on Wednesday in my office, workmen were drilling on the building's facade. I could see them on the scaffolding where they could look into my office and see me and my clients' backs. Late afternoon, during 2 sessions, the drilling periodically was so loud, I had to yell to be heard. I'm not exaggerating. At certain moments, I felt flashes of anger because the noise seemed like an assault, an intrusion into my usually very quiet space. When the anger flashed, I said to myself, they're doing their job, and the anger left me. I repeated this mantra every time anger flashed, and I was able to keep from feeling or feeding the anger. I replaced the anger with a reality for which I feel compassion, that people are doing their work. And this reality worked better than anger because it kept me where I want to be, in compassion. As I was packing up to leave the office, one of the workmen looked up from the scaffolding into my window and warmly smiled at me. I smiled back. I want to tell you that this was a joyful and loving moment that touched my heart. Had I been huffing and puffing about the drilling, I do believe he would have felt the negativity. His smile confirmed to me that I stayed positive and shared loving energy. On this first day of spring in 2013, there was an opportunity to show compassion and fertilize it. There will be many opportunities to share it again. I want my garden to be peppered with love, compassion, connectedness, and expanded vision to nourish and feed me and connect with others. I do remember that smile from the workman. It was very special. Now, this is a very long blog post, which I'll start and see where we go. May 6, 2013, a journey from my primitive brain to the evolved brain. To the best of my recollection, now I'm writing this in 2013, so bear with me. To the best of my recollection, it was during the warm months of 2003, I was driving around a traffic circle. Remember, they go like this. I was driving around a traffic circle in Park Slope with my daughter. My desire was to enter the gas station, which was at the top end, a 2 o'clock position. But a man in a car blocked the entrance. A red light stopped him, even though he had room to move up closer to the signal, and that would allow me to get through. My car windows were open as I gestured without speaking, like this, with my shoulders and arms, to ask him if he could move up in his line so that I could enter the station. The man yelled and cursed at me with such aggression, it shocked me that a mildly frustrated request from me could produce such a hateful response. His negative energy, carried by the warm summer air, slammed into my body. I felt hurt. I felt misunderstood. It was not my intention to spark rage in this man. Rather, I wished to share lovingness, not angriness. What became crystal clear to me is that we have an effect on others. Of course, they have an effect on us too. You know, we're all connected, and there is the ripple which moves the collective consciousness like a pebble dropped into the water. Of course, time has passed, and it's 2013, not 2003. I've done considerable soul searching and emotional work. 2 weeks ago, I, with others, sat with my laptop on a high computer in a coffee shop. No tables were available. The manager pushed a covered cookie plate onto the counter into the space of my computer and said, "This is important." I had to move my beloved device toward me, out of the path of the moving cookies. I said nothing. Mildly angry feelings sprang up, and my first thought was, and I'm not important? My next internal prompt became, Linda, you are important. And with that, I let go of my negative perception of this interaction. Her statement did not shift my reality that I love myself. I had no hurt or angry feelings because the resiliency of my self-love withstood my initial perception of this interaction. The process of moving from my hurt self to my loving self was a journey from my primitive brain to my evolved brain, from my childhood ego to my heart ego. I acted from my heart ego. And this is where I'd like to stay. We're ready now to take a break, and coming back, I'm going to share a blog to honor Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, who just passed a few months ago. Come back and listen to it.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Hi, I'm Linda Marsanico. The A Train to Sedona is a memoir about my journey to love and compassion. It's also the name of my new broadcast on Wednesdays at 12 noon. When we are spiritual, we embrace possibilities and ideas, which strengthen our mind, body, spirit, health, and wisdom. On the A Train to Sedona broadcast, I plan to interview guests who embrace these expansive practices. Join us on Wednesdays at 12 noon on Talk Radio New York City.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the A Train to Sedona. I'm Linda Marsanico, celebrating my memoir, The A Train to Sedona, and now my blog posts, which are part of my website at lindamarsanico.com. As many of us know, Brian Wilson, the lead singer, the creative force behind the Beach Boys, passed about a month or two ago. And I wrote this in May on the 20th in 2013. Good Vibrations, the Beach Boys from the 60s. My former hairdresser, who is clairvoyant, commented on my vibration. He said something like, "You're really feeling good today. I hear your chakras." He was referring to 7 cone-shaped, spinning, energetic portals, which extend down the middle of the body interdimensionally, outward. Isn't it incredible that we inherently possess a musical scale from A through G, the 7 sounds of the chakras, and that it is heard clearly by clairvoyance and felt subliminally by all of us? These sounds are vibrations, our vibe, which goes where we go. This becomes part of our connection to the collective consciousness. Perhaps this is one reason why music is a universal language. We feel the music, and the lyrics have an energy too. The Black community knew about vibe miles before I understood this level of communication. My elementary school, located near to where Malcolm X once lived, was racially integrated, and so I must have heard about vibe from my classmates and friends. I understood it only superficially then. The sound and beat vibration of positive music balances the chakras, making us feel good. Moreover, the vibe is beneficially felt by the water in each of our cells. Vibe associated with soul is exemplified by many musical artists from mid-century to the present. Otis Redding, the Isley Brothers stand out. Later, Michael Jackson sang, "Share the Beat of Love." Sixto Rodriguez asks us to climb upon my music and my songs will set you free. Vibe is an example of our multidimensional voice, distinctively held by each of us. Of course, we are all unique, and we have our vibrational tonalities. That's a quote from Michael Beckwith, who in 2007 was on the Oprah show. These vibrational tonalities represent our spiritual signature. I want to call them a particulate of our spiritual expression. I just said that. Vibration is our interpersonal calling card, representing our state of being, right here, right now. Here we are, broadcast journalists, whether people hear or sense our message. We can become attracted to or put off by others because of their vibe. Others do the same with us. As for me, I'm attracted to the love beat, and I got to keep those love and feeling good vibrations happening. As Brian Wilson stated, for all to hear or sense. In the metaphor, as well as literally, it's a song and a dance, and I'm loving it. This is a blog I wrote on November 25, again, 2013. It's called A Sense of Humor. Don't leave home without it. With a sense of freedom that a day without commitments can bring, I set out to do a number of errands in Brooklyn and Manhattan on a Wednesday. Off I went to my bank on Fifth Avenue and 21st Street to make a deposit, planning to take the F train at the Bartle Pritchett Square on 15th Street, the station into Manhattan. Now, it's rare that I leave from the station, and I'm not familiar with its layout. I swiped my Metro card. I don't know where my conscious mind went, to Sedona maybe? Before I knew it, before I could say abracadabra, I had exited the paid for the train area. I realized this quickly as I surveyed what looked like a maze of steel gates, which prevented me from going down the stairs to take my train. I swiped my Metro card once again to get back in. Just used appeared on the turnstile prompt. I swiped at several different turnstiles. I was locked out. What is a spiritual traveler to do? Luckily, I had time to spare. Trains came in and left without me. I spied an intercom. I spied an intercom for lost travelers like me and pressed the button. After the sounds of digital dialing projected from the wall, loud enough to reach Australia, a crackling disembodied voice could be heard. If I could find the person in the booth, they would help me override the 18-minute hold on further traveling and send me off. I'd be on my way. Now, I'm not kidding. I climbed upstairs to the ground level at the square, Bartle Pritchett Square, where there are no less than 4 separate entrances. I asked 2 people if they knew where the main entrance was with a real person. No one was sure. Well, I got plenty of gym-like exercise without a stairmaster. Up and down I went, and it finally occurred to me that I had 2 simple, regular, very desirable, even golden, full fare Metro cards in my wallet. I prayed one of them had enough money on it. The first swipe brought up insufficient fare. So the thought occurred to me I could always have a cup of tea to wait out the remainder of the 18-minute hold on my travel. And this nurturing thought was a saving grace. As I swiped the second simple Metro plastic, $2.50 was registered, and that was the fare at the time. And I was in like Flynn. Whew. Off to Canal Street and Design Within Reach to look at some really cool flatware I had salivated over. 7-Eleven Canal Street, here I come. Easily accessed from the East Broadway stop, I made my way on Canal when I noticed that the numbers 40, 50, etc., were very low, and that 7-Eleven was quite far from where I was. Luckily, the store catalog was in my purse, and so I called the 1-800 number to get the lowdown. And so, oh my God, 7-Eleven Canal Street was located in Stamford, Connecticut, not Manhattan. I internally giggled at myself to realize the colossal error. With my New York City myopia, I never looked past 7-Eleven Canal to see the out-of-state address. Now, at lunchtime, Canal Street was bustling with people, and I didn't want to make a spectacle of myself. Had I been with a friend, I would have doubled over and cried and laughed. I checked the Design Within Reach store locations to find one at 76 Montague Street, one of my favorite roads in Brooklyn. What does a lost traveler like me to do? Well, I decided to visit a jewelry shop on Bowery, which runs sort of perpendicular to Canal to chill out. All was not lost. From Bowery, I made my way back on Canal and embarked from the East Broadway station to Borough Hall, from Montague Street and Design Within Reach. Looked at the flatware, salivating some more. The staff treated me so nicely, allowing me to take a place setting home. I could decide without time pressure whether I wanted to order additional settings. There was enough time to take the R train to Park Slope for my last errand. The shop closed, it was 5:45, and I completed my last transaction of the day. The shop closed at 7 p.m. I felt very satisfied. All had been accomplished. I had even gotten quite a bit of aerobics as I took the stairs in and out of the train stations, walked to the shops. Now at home, I realized I'm relaxed, and I felt well-traveled and exercised for one afternoon. With compassion for myself, coupled with an expanded sense of going with the flow, I turned a challenging afternoon into an adventure. Mission accomplished with hilarity and ease. I couldn't help but think Chris Rock might develop a very funny routine from this material. My saving grace was my sense of humor. Don't leave home without it. This is one of my very favorite blogs. Sense of humor helps so often. And of course, it changes the brain chemistry. So I think that we're about ready to close for now. I want to thank you for listening in. You know, you can check out my website, lindamarsanico.com, and see my cheat sheet for high vibration living. You can purchase a signed copy of my book on the Buy the Book page. You can also go to Walmart and Barnes & Noble. They're right there. You can click from my website, see all the reviews that I got. And thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you next week.